Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Joey Sugarmark is back here with another video for you guys. And guys, it's Saturday night, and I'm going to be giving you my game picks for week 5 of the 2022 NFL season. So, let's jump right in anyway, guys. Coming up with the first game, we have in London, early morning, we have the 3-1 Giants at the, quote unquote, at the 3-1 Packers, but it's a neutral location because it's in London. So Giants at Packers. So the Giants are, they're I guess kind of off to a good start. I mean, they're 3-1. They have had a really easy schedule, and they have had, they've kind of had like sloppy wins. They haven't dominated, and I don't think that they're like actually that good. But I mean, they're not. They're better than last year, I guess. I'll give them that. Packers, meanwhile, 3-1 as well. Of course, lost week 1 to the Vikings. Since then, I think they've recovered pretty well. They beat the Bucks. They beat the Patriots. They beat the Bears. Last week, I mean, the game was a little bit closer than I thought it would be, but that's the Packers thing. They always play down to their competition for some reason, yet they do beat the good teams when it matters generally. Not always, but when they have to play good teams, especially in the regular season, they are capable of beating them. But yeah, like bad teams where they should blow them out, they always seem to play down to their competition for whatever reason. So, for that reason, I think that this game will be close because the Packers just cannot seem to blow anyone out. But the Packers should be able to take care of business here. Again, I don't think the Giants are actually that good. I think the Packers' offense is really starting to become more multi-dimensional. I mean, their air attack is obviously not quite as good this year without Devontae Adams, but their running game, I think, gets better and better with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. Their offensive line is slowly getting healthier with Bakhtiari coming back. Rodgers should only get better as the season goes on, as he usually does. So I'm going to go with the Packers here, guys. Let's go with Green Bay 27-23. Next game, guys, this is just a regular 1 o'clock game on Eastern Time. We have the 1-3 Steelers at the 3-1 Bills. So, the Steelers, let's see, they won their first game in an overtime game against the Bengals, but now they've lost 3 in a row. They lost to the Patriots, not Patriots, Jets. I'm not sure who else. Oh, Steelers. That's who. Or sorry, not the Steelers. The Steelers lost to the Steelers, right? The Browns. So, anyways, it's in Buffalo. Now, last year, let's skip back a year or so. The Steelers actually went to Buffalo in week 1 and were significant underdogs, and they actually pulled off the upset in Buffalo, taking down the Bills. And this is kind of a similar scenario because the Steelers are most certainly underdogs heading into this game. And I know it's 1-3 at 3-1, but don't let that fool you. The Bills, they are a very beatable team, and I'm not just saying that because I'm salty that they beat the Ravens last week. I mean, yeah, they beat the Ravens, cool, but it was a close game. It's not like they dominated by any means. In fact, us Ravens dominated for the first 3 quarters, but then we sold. I shouldn't say the first half, I'll say, but then we sold in the second half. But anyways, it just goes to show there is no number 1 dominant team in this league. There just isn't. It's been proven time and time again. Those days are over, at least for now. But the Steelers still continue to be really banged up. They're rocking with Kenny Pickett now. They benched Mitchell Trubisky. But their offense is still a disaster. They still are yet to find a good quarterback. Pickett could be good, but he's definitely not there yet. Their offensive line isn't that good. They got some injuries in the wide receiver front, and defensively they're banged up. Of course, still no T.J. Watt. He's got, I think, a pectoral injury. He'll be back later in the year. It's in Buffalo. Again, I don't think the Bills are that good. I know they're playing a little sloppy right now, but they should be able to take care of business here at home. So I'm going to go with the Bills here, guys, 27-17. Next game, guys, we have the 2-2 Chargers and the 2-2 Browns. I would say both teams, especially the Chargers, are off to disappointing starts. They've been up and down. They haven't been horrible, especially the Chargers. But, 2-2, obviously not great. I think both teams, this is kind of a must-win for them. Browns, meanwhile, a lot of high highs and low lows so far this season. Their running game has been dominant. Nick Chubb is off to, I think, like the best start he's ever been off to. Hunt's been there, but Chubb has definitely been leading the charge. Their offensive line is right back to 2020 ways. They're just mowing people over. But outside of that, defensively, they have not been great. They have a lot of talent on the defense, but they don't always play great as a team. Brissett's kind of been mid. They've been okay, but they haven't been great. Chargers, they've been inconsistent per usual. They got smoked by the Jaguars, but they also had a couple good games sprinkled in there as well. It's in Cleveland, but I like the Chargers winning this game. Again, I know the Browns have a dominant run game, and the Chargers, their run defense and defense in general is better than last year, but it's still not great. It also is kind of banged up. I know J.C. Jackson is yet to play healthy. He's been dealing with injuries. So I am gonna go with the Chargers here, guys. I definitely trust Herbert over Brissett. So I'm going to go with the Chargers here. Let's go with a high-scoring game, 31-28. But it should be a very good game. Next game, guys, we have the 0-3-1 Texans and the 2-2 Jaguars. So the Texans, obviously, aren't good. I mean, no surprise there. They got Davis Mills, I guess, who could be good if he's, gets developed correctly. But they pretty much have no one. They're just... I don't know. I guess you could say they're in rebuild mode, but it's definitely not their year. Jaguars, meanwhile, off to, a somewhat interesting start. I don't think their wins have not been fluke wins. I mean, they could have been a fluke, but they haven't been gimme wins, I guess you could say. They shut out the Colts, and then they smoked the Chargers on the road. So I wouldn't say that their 2 wins have been totally meaningless, but they also have lost 2. And there have been times where they haven't looked good either. I don't think that they're actually good this year, but they are a young team. Of course, Trevor Lawrence in his sophomore year, he should only continue to get better, assuming he's developed correctly. And this is a great opportunity for the Jaguars to go back above 500. They're playing a terrible Texans team. They're at home, the Jaguars are. So I think the Jaguars should be able to win this game. They know that they need to bounce back. So give me the Jaguars winning this game, guys. 24-17. Next game, guys, we have the 2-2 Bears at the 3-1 Vikings. So the Bears, again, not up to a great start. I mean, they're 2-2. They haven't been terrible, but lost to the Giants last week. They lost to the Packers as well. I don't even know who's been, because I know Fields has been dealing with some injuries. And then defensively, they have Roquan Smith, of course, but their defense is obviously not remotely as good as it used to be. The Vikings, meanwhile, had that crazy win last week against the Saints. What was it, like the game-winning field goal bounced off the crossbar? Or no, actually, I think they were trying to tie it. The Saints were trying to tie it, but it hit the crossbar twice or something and didn't go in. I forget the specifics, but I know it was a crazy game in London last week between the Vikings and Saints. But the Vikings came out on top. So it's in Minnesota here. The Vikings are a team that play much better at home than on the road. So I didn't think they're going to get this win. Again, the Bears are just not that good. So give me the Vikings winning this game, guys. Let's go with Minnesota 31-14. Next game, guys, we have the 1-3 Lions at the 1-3 Patriots. So the Lions, again, another team that I think is much better than the record indicates. I like the Lions. They're a well-coached, persistent football team. They just can never pull out close games. Every single close game, they just always fall short. They always come out as the losing team. But again, they are a well-coached team. I'm big on Dan Campbell. But the Lions, so Goff has actually been okay so far. He's been up and down. But then receivers, meanwhile, I know Swift, I think, is dealing with injuries again. He's got a hard time staying healthy. Of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown. But Lions, they had a really high scoring loss to the was it the Eagles? I don't even know who they lost to last week, but it was a really high scoring game. It was a good game, but they of course came out down. Patriots, meanwhile, so 1-3. They did put up a pretty good fight last week against the Packers, all things considered, but they came out down in overtime. And of course, still no Mac Jones. He's dealing with that ankle sprain. So now it's going to be, it's Bailey Zappa. I don't even know how you pronounce it. I think he's a rookie quarterback that they drafted. He started last week, and he actually played pretty well for his first start. And he's getting the start again this week, as far as I know. I like the Lions, but the Patriots are at home. It's really a must-win for them. I guess you could say that for the Lions too, but the Patriots are healthier, I think, all around, and again, play much better at home than on the road. So I'm going to go with the Patriots here, guys, 27-20. Next game, guys, we have the 2-2 Seahawks at the 1-3 Saints. So the Seahawks, I think this is the year that they fall short. I know I've said that for several straight years now, and of course they did last year, but part of it was because Russell Wilson was hurt for a fair amount of the year. Seattle's just not that good this year; they're mediocre. But the Saints are off to a very disappointing start. They just have not been that good. They have had injuries, I understand. Jameis Winston has been battling all kinds of injuries. I don't even know if he's starting tomorrow. Michael Thomas, he too, it looked like he was finally healthy and coming back, but he's dealing with other injuries right now too. Kamara, again, very good when healthy, but he's still having a hard time staying healthy. It's in New Orleans, which helps. I think the Saints will get this win. I know they're banged up, but it's a must win for them. Saints are much better at the Dome. But I mean, the Saints, even if they win this game, they got to get their stuff together. They are off to a very disappointing start. But in New Orleans, I'm going to go with the Saints here, guys. Let's go with New Orleans 30-23. Next game, guys, we have the 3-1 Dolphins at the 2-2 Jets. So the Dolphins, as far as I know, Tua Tagovailoa is not playing. He still has the head and concussion thing to work out. So that means it's going to be Teddy Bridgewater getting the start, as far as I know. So the Dolphins, again, suffered their first loss of the season against Cincinnati on last Thursday. I mean, it was kind of a mix of factors. Tua going down, obviously hurt. But they didn't play very well in general. I thought Waddle and Hill were both kind of off. Their defense wasn't as good as usual either. Jets, meanwhile, they're hanging in there. They had a nice comeback win against the Steelers last week, so that was impressive. Zach Wilson made his return. He didn't play great, but he played well enough to win. This game is also in New York, but the Dolphins should still be able to take care of business here. I think Tagovailoa is inactive, but the Dolphins still have an excellent wide receiver duo. Their defense had a rough game last week, but I think that they'll be able to bounce back. I think their pass rush will get the better of the Jets' offensive line. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins here, guys. Let's go with Miami 31-21. Next game, guys, we have the 2-2 Falcons at the 2-2 Buccaneers. So the Falcons, 2-2. They're not going to be winless this year. They've put up some good fights, some not so good. Bucks, meanwhile, off to a pretty disappointing start. They kind of got smoked by the Chiefs last week. I mean, they put up 31 points. Brady played well, I'll give them that. But their defense was like nowhere to be found. They kind of got torched. And then, of course, I think it was the week before, they couldn't do anything on offense. Their defense played pretty well after a rough start, but then their offense couldn't do anything. So they've kind of been up and down, and they seem to have the same issue the Ravens have. They don't click together at the same time. That when their offense is on, their defense is off, and when their defense is on, their offense is off. But with it being in Tampa Bay, the Bucs being the much better all-around team, I definitely think the Bucs will be able to get this win. So give me Tampa Bay pulling this one out, 34-17. Next game, guys, we have the 2-2 Titans at the 1-3 Commanders. So the Titans, 2-2. They're barely hanging on just a little bit, but what they have going for them is the AFC South is crap. You got the Colts, the Titans, the Jaguars, and the Texans. Just absolutely horrible. Commanders, meanwhile, not very good this year. I mean, they've had some ups so far, but a lot of downs as well. Carson Wentz obviously has not been playing very well. So it's in Washington, but I think that the Titans are the much better all-around team. They know they need to keep the pace and stay ahead of the division. So I'm going to go with the Titans here, guys. I think as long as they have a run game going with Henry, they should be able to pull it out. So giving the Titans winning this game, let's go with Tennessee 28-17. Next game, guys, is we're getting into the later games now. We have the 2-2 49ers at the 1-3 Panthers. So the Niners sitting at 2-2. A lot of 2-2 teams this week. A very up and down start. Jimmy Garoppolo is QB1 now since the Trey Lance is out for the year. Offensively, they've been up and down. They've had a hard time staying healthy. I know George Kittle has been dealing with injuries. And of course, they lost Trey Lance. Receivers, meanwhile, Deebo Samuel is off to a kind of a cooler start. I don't know. I kind of think that the Niners rely a little bit too much on him. He's very, very good, but you also have to have other weapons there. And George Kittle is absolutely a weapon, but they kind of got to get Kittle back to his 2019 run where he was like the best tight end in football. Because if that's the case, then stopping George Kittle and Deebo Samuel is pretty much impossible. But I don't know. They don't seem to be doing that right now. Carolina, meanwhile, is off to a very disappointing start. Baker Mayfield has not been very good. He's been missing people. DJ Moore, I think, is getting really frustrated in Carolina because Mayfield he's been missing throws. He's not very good. Defensively, meanwhile, their defense is very mediocre as well. In Carolina, but I'm going to go with the Niners here, guys. I think that they're the better all-around team. They're pretty desperate for a win. So give me the Niners winning this game here. 21-17 in a low-scoring slugfest. Next game, guys, we have the 4-0, I think the only undefeated team left, Eagles, at the 2-2 Cardinals. So, this game, the Eagles are really just cooking right now, I guess you could say. Offensively and defensively, they haven't been quite as good, but they've still been good enough. I think they played the Jaguars last week, and the Jaguars got off to a very good start. Once again, showing that they might actually be A-okay this year. But then the Eagles were able to come back. The Eagles are pretty good. Jalen Hurts is having a pretty good year. Miles Sanders has been very good. Of course, they have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown as well. Defensively, they're on the older side, but they still got people such as who do they got? Fletcher Cox, of course. Again, he's older, but he's still there. Brandon Graham, and then they got some other guys. Cardinals, meanwhile, off to another up and down start, uneven for them. They have, of course, Murray, Marquise Brown, who's still wide receiver 1 right now because Hawkins is suspended. I think he got suspended 6 games, so he should be eligible to return in Week 7. And Marquise Brown has actually been okay so far. Defensively, though, they're still not very good. They let up a lot of big plays. And guys, I know the Eagles are the only undefeated team left, but I see no reason why that would change now. I know the Cardinals are at home, but they do not strike me as a great team. I think they're inconsistent, especially Kyler Murray. So I'm going to go with the Eagles pulling this one out, guys. Let's go with Philadelphia. Let's go with a high-scoring game here, 35-31. I think it's going to be a very good game. Next game, guys, we have the 3-1 Cowboys at the 2-2 Rams. So the Cowboys, they're doing a pretty nice job, all things considered, with all the injuries that they have. Of course, Dak Prescott, their wide receiver core has been banged up. Their offensive line has been banged up. But they're doing a pretty nice job hanging on. They're 3-1 here. Cooper Rush is QB1 until Prescott comes back. I think Prescott is actually almost back. I don't know. I don't think he's back this week, but he is getting there. The Rams, meanwhile, are off to a pretty disappointing start. They lost the season opener to the Bills. And then they just lost to the Niners, I think, on Monday Night Football, and they did not look good then at all. But I actually think that this is a great opportunity for a bounce back game. They're at home. The Rams are much better at home than on the road. And again, the Cowboys are off to a good start, but they too, I think, struggle more on the road. And with it being in LA, I think that the Rams are going to be able to pull this one out. So give me a Rams bounce back win here. Let's go with the Rams 26-13. And here we go, guys. Without further ado, our Sunday Night Football game this week. We have the 2-2 Bengals at the 2-2 Ravens. AFC North showdown at the bank. So, the Bengals lost their first 2, but they have bounced back nicely after that. They're now 2-2. Let's see. After losing to the Cowboys, they beat who did they beat? The Jets and the Dolphins. So they are now 2-2. Ravens, meanwhile, have been, again, just a very up and down so far. Times where they look great, times when they look pretty bad. They easily and should be 4-0 right now, but they just could not manage to hold leads against the Dolphins and the Bills. So, again, this is a huge game for both sides. It's an AFC North showdown. Whoever wins this is going to take the lead in the AFC North standings. I know it's early for that, but, every game counts. in Baltimore, which helps. However, we're more banged up than we've ever been all this year. No Rashad Bateman tomorrow. He's out with a foot injury that he suffered against Buffalo last week. No Justice Hill. No Justin Houston. No Ben Cleveland, who hurt his foot in practice. No Marcus Peters, most likely, who hurt his quad in practice. Dude, I don't get it. We can't stay healthy. I don't get what the issue is, but we cannot stay healthy. It's bad. So the Bengals, once again, I don't want to like totally take away the Bengals hype. I do think that they have a lot of good attributes to them, but man, do they get lucky. They get lucky in so many ways, and they're getting lucky again this week. They're playing again. If they beat us, they beat us, but they're once again playing us when we are like as far away from full strength as possible. This is the most banged up we've been all season. However, they do have to face a team that they didn't face. They have to face Lamar Jackson again. They have to face a healthy Marlon Humphrey, plus some improvements in the secondary with Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton, and I would say Marcus Peters, but he's most likely not playing. He hasn't been ruled out yet, but my understanding is he's probably not going to play. And that really concerns me. And again, I know, of course, PTSD from last year when Jamar Chase just destroyed Humphrey. I don't think that's going to happen again, but I am curious on what our game plan will be this time. Like, will we run man coverage or will we do total zone? We'll see. But guys, I think what it's really going to come down to in this game is, can we get after Burrow and get to him to help out our secondary? Because our secondary is going to be thinner without Marcus Peters. I don't trust our corners to hang with the Bengals receivers for that long, or just the secondary in general. So if we're going to win this game, we're going to need to get after Burrow and get multiple sacks and just pressure him all the time. And offensively, we're going to have to move the ball enough to win. Unfortunately, guys, I don't trust us to do that. I really don't think we're going to be able to do that, especially from the pass rush standpoint. I don't trust our pass rush to get this done. We were great week one. It gave me so much hope for the future. But the past few games, we have just been absolute dog crap. We're back to old ways. We can't get pressure with a four-man front. So I see no reason why that will not continue here. The Bengals offensive line is not very good, but I still think it's better than our, absolutely pitiful pass rush. And it's slowly getting healthier. Bowser's working his way back. Ojabo's working his way back, but we're still not there yet. So it's asking a lot here, guys, but I also think we're going to lose because for some reason we play better in Cincinnati than at home. So I said this from the beginning of the year. I think we're going to lose to Cincinnati at home and beat them on the road for whatever reason. We just play better in Cincinnati. You can look at the past few years. So it's in Baltimore, guys, but I think we're banged up, and I just don't see how we're going to keep up with the Bengals' offense, and then their defense will give us some problems, especially on the offensive line side. I know one big headline is Ronnie Stanley is finally returning. As far as we know, Stanley is returning to the left tackle spot. I don't know if he's going to play every drive or in every play, but we're at least going to see him on the field for some of the time. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I still think protecting Jackson is going to be a big-time issue, and I do worry about him making some mistakes in this game. I think our defense is going to struggle again as well. So I think the Bengals are going to win this game, guys. I really hope I'm wrong, but I don't really feel confident about this team right now. It has a lot of flaws. So I'm going to go with the Bengals here, guys. Let's go with Cincinnati, 31-20. Okay, guys, this is our last game, Monday Night Football. We have the 1-3 Raiders at the 3-1 Chiefs. So the Raiders, they got their first win of the season last week against the Broncos, so that's good for them. Chiefs, meanwhile, continue to play really, really well. They're starting to look like their old ways, except for the loss to the Colts. But offensively, they look much more in sync now than they did last year. Defensively, they're, at least playing somewhat better, I guess you could say. It's also in Kansas City, which makes all the difference. The Chiefs, especially offensively, are so much better at home than on the road. The Raiders are a team that really struggle on the road. And I know they just got their first win of the season, and they're trying to turn a corner, but they kind of hit a wall right here. The Chiefs, again, are the much better team. They're at home. I think that they definitely will be able to take care of business here. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs pulling this one out. Higher scoring game. Let's go with the Chiefs, 38-28. And guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I am out. Have a great night. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome to Week 5. Go Ravens. And I will see you guys after the game tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow night. It might be Monday morning or Monday afternoon. But I will see you with a recap on the Ravens game at some point. And have a great rest of the weekend.